This meeting is being recorded.
There we go. Whoops. Can you hear me now?
I hear
Okay.
you. I don't see
Okay, let
you.
me get this
There we
started.
go. You're coming.
There we go.
Hey,
Awesome.
Kari.
Hey,
How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Let me get this all straight here. Okay, good to go. Ready and set.
Where are you coming from? Is this your office?
This was my daughter's room until she
Okay.
moved out like a month ago. So this is
And she did that. Yeah.
yeah,
Look at
this is
that.
her artwork.
Ugh.
Kind of a little violent, but
Hey, she was in a place when she did that, right?
she definitely was. Yes,
Yeah.
this is an era that that we survived. So yes,
Hmm. I love that. Well, thanks for doing this. I think
yeah,
the women in this midlife nest community are really encouraged by the stories that they're hearing, that other women are sharing. And there's something about knowing that you're not alone, that you're
hmm
not crazy, that you're not the only one struggling through things. And as silly as some of these um, things that we go through in midlife may seem, they're legitimate. And so I
yeah,
really appreciate you sharing your story. So why don't you just share with us who you are and where you are in your menopause. Well, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be menopause, but in your midlife journey.
yeah. So I guess I should say I'm a fitness instructor first. Just became a therapist in the last year and a half.
Yay.
Um, yeah, but both of those are there's it's all crossover. Like I'm the same person in both spaces,
Hmm.
just coming at it a little differently. I'm all about helping people live their best life, and my heart beats psychological flexibility, which is all about taking a little bit of a risk and breathing through it and coming out the other side a little stronger,
Hmm.
whether that's physically or mentally, right? Um, let's see, where am I at? Empty nest as of September 10th of this year.
Yay.
I have two kids. One is 23 and lives in South Dakota. The other one is 20 and lives in Cudahy. Um, Married to my husband for, I'm not good at math. What are we at now? 20, since 1998, whatever that math is. What is that?
Okay.
20, 26 years, I guess, going on
Okay.
27. Um, physically, so I'm 52 years old. So I did have blood work done. According to the blood work, I'm postmenopausal. However, I still get hot flashes. I still get night sweats. I still have all the things. Um, I found some great solutions to that, or helps, I guess, we could call it. Some things that have helped a little bit. Does that answer your question? I
Yeah.
get off on a
Yeah,
tangent
that's
and then
great.
just start going. Yeah.
Um, okay, question about that. I know blood work is it's I'm noticing that there's people who want their blood work done. They need to know the numbers. And then
hmm
other people are like, well, it doesn't matter what the blood work is. We got to go by the symptoms. So tell me more about the blood work that you had that said that you were postmenopausal.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with the second group of people. It really doesn't make a difference. And it's kind of funny story. So I actually found a great doctor in Franklin. She specializes in women's health. Um, and I found her after I had listened to this awesome podcast about menopause that just like blew my mind. And so I found this doctor. She did the full blood panel, and then it was super funny when the nurse called with my results. She said whatever, I can't remember the language she used, but it was like it told me absolutely nothing. It was something like, um, you're normal. And I was like,
Right.
thanks, I already knew I was normal, but what about the blood work? Because the blood work wasn't like an abnormal, normal, positive, negative thing. It was
Right.
like, like, what are my hormone levels? So she kind of seemed perplexed, and then she called me back, and then she said postmenopausal, and I was like, really? Because like, would that mean? I mean, I'm still having all the things. So I don't recommend anybody get the blood work. I got no insight out of that whatsoever. Um, it really didn't help me at all. Um, I like my doctor. She isn't opposed to hormone replacement therapy, but she's not one to jump on it super quick. And so what she has me doing is literally a third a cup of soy milk every day, because soy will like prompt estrogen and increase estrogen a little bit. So I'm doing the soy milk, and I'm doing evening primrose at bedtime. And she actually has me on Elavil, which is an antidepressant. Um, Not that I was depressed, but I was having pretty bad migraines every month, and it was like cyclical. I could tell it was
Mm-hmm.
like with my, even though I haven't had a period in a million years, it was just on the dot. Um, and of course, no gynecologist would listen to me, which was irritating. And so she said, and I've always struggled with insomnia too. And she said, I think we just need to get you sleeping better at night, and that's going to take care of the migraines. And she was exactly right. And
Mm-hmm.
so the Elavil helps me sleep. I'm getting the best sleep I've ever had, which still is not super great, but for me, it's really, really good. And the migraines have decreased dramatically. Night sweats are down. I barely ever get them. I get them every once in a while, but not like before. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's been the magic formula for me. So
great.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
And we're all different, and we have to make
Hmm.
sure that how we're treating these symptoms has to align with what feels right to us.
Right.
And just to kind of like go over the whole menopause thing, menopause is one day. It's that 366th day of not having a period.
Yeah.
Before that is perimenopause. After that, it's postmenopause for the rest of our lives.
Hmm.
So you're right. I lean on the labs won't tell you anything. Our hormones are supposed to fluctuate.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think there's an optimal range, but man, to be able to somehow manage that sounds like a lot of work to me.
Hmm.
There's so much research being done, and it's just really overwhelming. All the information that's out there, podcasts and books and um, webinars and everything. I'm trying to stay on top of things. You know, I'm coming from a nursing background and see where I land, but I also want women to know their options. And so you've
Yeah.
gone a route that does not include replacing your
Hmm.
hormones, which your lab should say almost like you have none, right? If it's
Yeah.
postmenopausal, it's like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
there. And I'm also questioning things like, what about this? What about that? And the way I'm processing it in my head, and it's not totally accurate, but like, you know, you think of a diabetic, they
Hmm.
don't have the insulin they need to break down the glucose. So they need
Right.
to give themselves some.
Yeah.
Same thing with hormones. We need estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in our
Hmm.
bodies to have that
Right.
brain function and
Right.
that cardiac health and that bone health. And if we don't have it, how are we getting
Right.
it? Is there a way to bring it back into our bodies? So that's the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, good.
And I like this podcast because, and of course they were
What
talking about a
podcast
book,
was
and
it?
I,
Do you remember?
oh man, I can find it and I can
Okay,
send it to
yeah,
you.
yeah, we can. I'll share it
It
in the group.
was, it was one of the episodes of Psychologists Off the Clock, which is a
Okay,
podcast I watch or listen to often, because they share a lot of ACT-based things, and that's the therapy that I practice. But it was an expert who wrote a book on menopause, and two things that I loved that she said is how frustrated she was that for, however long there have been women, right, and however long there have been doctors, when women go through menopause, doctors are just like, well, this is normal and you should just
yep,
suck it up. Like, yeah, you're going to have all these things and, too bad. It's just normal and just deal with it. Where Like if it was something men were going through, they would be looking for solutions. They would
Yep.
not just be saying, oh, well, too bad, it's normal. And so I love that. And then also she was talking about the newer research that's suggesting that hormone replacement isn't a bad thing, because for a while they were like, oh my gosh, don't do it, you're going to get
Right.
cancer. And they're
Right.
saying like now
They've
they know so
debunked
much more
that.
about it, so don't be afraid. And she really was advocating like go out and find a doctor who is trained in
Yep.
dealing with menopause. And she listed some like national registry of
Yeah, the
doctors.
Menopause Society. Mhm.
Yeah. And so that's how I found my doctor in Oak Creek. I just went on that website and I put in a
Okay.
zip code and there she was. So
Yeah, finding those databases that have the practitioners that can treat you locally
mhm,
is great.
mhm.
I am collecting a group of names. I have a list of names of practitioners that have been vetted from Madison to Chicago. I have
Nice.
7 names
Nice.
because some of them are on a list, but they haven't been educated. They haven't been practicing. They've just paid to be on the list.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so
Yeah.
you got to be
Yeah.
careful sometimes.
Yeah.
And then there's online providers. MIDI
Mhm.
is one, and they do virtual visits, and they
Nice.
are top notch, in the know practitioners. They can prescribe, they can diagnose, they can do all that stuff too. So some people don't have a local practitioner.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good option too. Good.
Cool.
Okay. So tell us, what has surprised you most about being in midlife so far?
Yeah. A few things. One, it's going to sound so silly because it should not be a surprise, but so I've been a fitness instructor for, I mean, pretty much 20 years. And I was not an athletic person growing up, but I found, like competing against myself was a whole different thing. And just kind of changed like when I became an instructor, I had a total like what's the word I'm looking for? I just completely like changed my mindset about fitness and my physical body and what I can do and what I can't do. And it was kind of reawakening for me. I became a
Mm,
different person in a good way, right? And so I kind of, when I became an instructor, I developed this mindset that my biggest obstacle was my own mind, my own like feelings
ugh.
of that is going to be too hard. That's going to hurt. I mean, I literally thought if I picked up a heavier weight, I would die. Like all these silly, irrational thoughts that were preventing me from doing things that I really could have done. So I've
Yeah.
had this mindset of it's just your head, like get out of your head, like
Mm.
question these thoughts, and you probably can do more than you think you can. And now I cannot do more than I think I can.
Oh, it's changed,
It's
huh?
come the other way. It's like, yeah, I can do a lot of things, and for my age, I'm really healthy and fit, but I cannot do things that I used to be able to do. And
Mhm.
like in some respects, in certain ways, I'm stronger than I was before, but in other ways, I just can't do it. And that's really
Yeah.
difficult for me because that breakthrough when I was, 30 or
Mhm.
however old I was when I finally like got past a lot of my own hangups, that was a big deal for me. Like that was
Yeah.
very defining, like not in a arrogant, cocky way, but just in a very healing from some childhood stuff, kind of
Mm.
empowering way. And, to have to like rethink that and be like, no, actually, there are some limits. Um, and I mean, I'm still determined to be the fitness instructor at the nursing home with the 2 pound weights, like coaching my
Yeah.
my roommates or whatever. I'm determined. Like I'm so inspired by people who are in their 80s and 90s who are lifting weights or walking or running or biking or whatever the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
That just thrills me to the core. But
Yeah.
yeah, like my body is not what it was. And that
Hmm.
is disappointing. Um, and then in other ways, not just fitness, but like I can't see for crap. Like I gotta go get some new. I just went to the eye doctor last week and he's like, yeah, your left eye has an astigmatism. And he ordered me like a
Oh,
special contact for that. And I haven't made the jump to bifocals yet because purely out of pride. Because I did get new glasses and they were like, do you want bifocals? And I'm like, no, I do not. I probably should have. So now I gotta have reading glasses in like every single room,
yeah.
or I just like muddle through. I'm just like, well, I just can't see it. I just can't. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
You know, I can't eat things that I used to be able to eat.
Mm.
Um, I think back to like stuff I used to eat, and I'm like, yeah, that ship has sailed. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, i- it's inevitable, right? That things change.
yeah,
And when we can accept those changes as not like a failure, but more as just another sign that our body's telling us, listen,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, as far as the fitness world, you probably know, as we age, we need to be weight bearing. We
yeah.
need strength training, not as much cardio.
I mean, that's almost all I do now. It's almost entirely strength training and flexibility and
Yep.
yoga and that
Yep.
kind of stuff. But it's just funny. Like I think back to like maybe, 10, 15 years ago when there would be somebody who was the age that I am now. And they'd be like, oh, I can't do all that jumping around and I don't want to. And then I would just think like, you're just letting yourself get in your own way. No, they were not. No, they were not.
Right.
Like, let me find them and apologize to them
Right.
because
Right.
no,
Right.
I
But
didn't,
there
I
is
just
a
didn't
balance.
know.
There's a listening. Right.
Yeah,
For sure. And same with the eating too. It's like, oh, I used to love this, but it does not like me anymore.
right.
And being
Yep.
in tune with our bodies. So that's great. Okay. So what what do you wish you knew before getting into this season, this midlife? Okay, I just recently realized that I was in midlife.
Hmm.
Like midlife, what is midlife? Is it a chronological age? Because if that's so, I'm way beyond that. I'm like, I missed it. Say 40, right?
Yeah,
At 40, I didn't realize I was technically midlife.
yeah, yeah.
And now I'm like heading out of, I'm going to that late stage of it.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
like, oh my goodness. So whether it be midlife or the menopause transition, what do you wish you knew before?
Mm, that's a really good question. Um, I I do wish I had started this new career earlier.
Mm,
But I don't know that I could have, I
yeah.
don't know if I could have. And yeah, it is what it is. Um, I wish I had known. So I'm thinking back, okay, so when I was 40, that would have been, my kids would have been, let me think here. Again, I got to do math. My daughter would have been 8, which means my son would have been about 11. And let me tell you, that was an ugly time of life because, my kids were a lot. And I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and I homeschooled them for a little while, short period of time. And I don't regret it at all, but it was hard. I cried a lot. My son was a handful and a half. There was a time, and yeah, when he was 11. Wait, yeah, no, that's right. When he was 11, he was just an absolute terror. And I remember one day being out in the backyard on the phone with my husband saying, he's just going to go to jail. Like, he just doesn't understand cause and effect. Like, I can't seem to make him understand, like, if you don't want this to happen, stop doing this. Like, it's just getting worse for you. And both of my kids, like the preteen years, were just a lot and very hard. And I guess what I'm finally getting to is I wish I could go back in time and pull myself aside and go, hang in there. This ends really good. They become incredible adults. They become people that you are so proud of and you are so in love with and you want to tell everybody about and you want to hang out with them, and they have their lives together and they're doing what they should be doing and they're happy. This all ends well. So just hang in there. It's going to be okay, because there were some there was some dark period. I have two very passionate, high energy people, whose parents are passionate, high energy people. So why would I be surprised? And it was a lot. So yeah, I think that would be
Well,
the
it
biggest
sounds like,
thing.
yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of pride, mama pride in there. What else are you
Yeah.
proud of? What about yourself?
Um, I never would have imagined I would be doing the things I do today in a million years. I'm the least likely person to be doing the things that I do. Like,
Mhm.
if I go back to little girl me or teenager me, no, I would have never imagined. And I've been really lucky to manage to have a journey where I have always tried to learn from every experience. And somebody said once, like, experiences can make you bitter or better. And so I always
Mm,
wanted to try to be better. Like, how can I grow from this growth
yeah.
mindset? Um, and just be curious and flexible. And I think that's allowed me to do a lot of things that I never thought I would be able to do. I mean, again, I'm the last person who should be a fitness instructor. I mean, when I was I never played sports. I never did any physical activity as a kid. I would
Yeah.
hide in the locker room and try to avoid balls of any kind. Like, if it was soccer, I was running away from the ball. If it was,
Oh,
I was just like
yeah.
not a sports girl. So I don't know why I do what I do. And as far as like mental health, I grew up in an incredibly dysfunctional family with a lot of chaos. And like, how am I a therapist? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I've needed a therapist many times.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, you know
yeah,
the help that you received and you want to give that to others. That's great.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So think of these past 5 years. What has been the most courageous thing you've done? And then look into the future in the next 5 years. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. Those are easy questions.
Mhm.
So going back to grad school was for sure the most courageous thing
Mm,
I did. I graduated December of this past year, and my program was about 3 years long with 7 semesters. Um, Everybody in my class was in their 20s. I have one friend from my class who's 35, I think. So I was definitely the old lady. Um, there were times it was incredibly difficult and kind of honestly embarrassing because,
mm,
again, like, my brain doesn't work as fast as a 22-year-old, you know? There were times I felt really out of my depth, and there were times I was just like, what was I thinking? Like, this is really hard. This is a lot, but I was like, well, I've started. I can't quit now. I want to do this. I want this
yeah.
career. And so I just had to learn, and I had to be humble and take deep breaths. And one thing I'm really good at is pretending like I know what's going on, even if I don't. Just absorb it.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I totally get that. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did they just say? I have no idea. Um, but it was fun because, like, well, okay, I think most of my professors were even younger than me, but some of them were like closer to my age. And so they would like ask me, like, Carrie, you have this perspective. Like, what is this
Hmm.
like? What is that like? And I was able to kind of speak about things I've experienced. And they were always encouraging me, like, no, we are so happy you're here. Like, you are bringing something that, not to disparage anybody else here, but you are bringing something that they don't have, that they can't learn in school.
That life experience and wisdom, for sure.
Exactly. And even now, like at the clinic, case management knows to funnel certain clients my way, because they want that corrective experience with a mother. They want to sit across from somebody who reminds them of a parent and can give them a corrective experience that they didn't have, and kind of have that, I don't know. Anyways, so grad school is a huge risk. It was not easy. I was really stressed out. My husband thought I was going to leave him, literally, like every day. Like he would, like every day, I feel like you're just going to divorce me as soon as school is over. And to be honest, I would sit there and not refute that.
But you persevered. You did it.
Yeah, we're in a better place today. But there was a while there where I was like, can't say I won't. Sorry.
Better be good.
You never know. It was a big transition for us too, because there's a whole world that I'm immersed in that he has he's not interested in it. He doesn't know anything about it. We can't talk about it, and it's fine. So yeah, that was a lot, and launched both of my kids kind of in the midst of that. My son graduated high school and went off to college and started his life, and my mom died right before I started school, so so now both of my parents are gone, which is a weird feeling. I would have never guessed. Obviously I've seen other people go through it, and you don't think that you need your parents as an adult, but just having them gone, like, I don't have them. They're not there.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling. So, next 5 years, definitely the biggest goal is to finish all of my clinical hours. So right now I have LPCIT, licensed practicing counselor in training, which, I've graduated, I'm licensed. I've passed my exams. I have one more exam to take in about a month. And then I have to get 3,000 hours under supervision, which is going to take me 2 years.
Okay.
And then once I'm done with that, private practice. So that's my big goal. And within the realm of private practice, and this will actually hopefully happen sooner, I am going to get certified for trauma-focused yoga therapy, which is a huge passion of mine. So really excited about that. The clinic, they're talking about actually helping me through that process. So possibly paying for my training, possibly having me do yoga therapy right on site if we can find a space for that. And also I think it's a 500-hour training, I believe, and I think I can use that 500 hours for part of my 3,000 hours, which would be really nice.
That would be really nice.
Fast track me a little bit. So those are my biggest things right now.
I love it. Yeah. I love hearing women who are at this halfway point, right? Or beyond, starting things. And they're saying, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. What is retirement?
100%.
What is my turn
Don't
now.
even get me started. I am so, this is just my opinion, and whatever, anybody can have whatever they want. I am against retirement. I find the idea awful. Like, okay, you want to retire from your job, cool, but what are you going to do?
Right.
Because if you're going to stay home and watch TV, or you're just going to go out for breakfast with your friends every day, you are going to just waste
You're
away.
Gonna die.
You're going to die. And please do not. So I'm firmly against retirement.
Yeah.
My husband keeps talking about it, and I'm like, no, you're not. you're not. Like, you can retire when you present me with your business plan of the small business you're going to start.
Right. In Mexico.
I mean, not that, like, not even that it's the money. It's just that you are not gonna just like
Yeah.
mill around here all day, every day and drive me crazy.
Drive me nuts.
No,
Right.
no, not happening.
That's so funny. I love
Yeah.
it. All right, Kari. Well, what do you want to leave the midlife nest ladies? What do you want? What piece of advice or wisdom, or what do you want to share with them?
I would say ask yourself what you would do if you could do anything. Like if there was nothing preventing you, and then what is preventing you? And like look into it, just find out. I would before I started grad school, I was in this like 6 to 9 month phase where I was so freaking irritable. I was just so angry and I felt like I was jumping out of my skin, and I had to sit with myself and I was like, what is my problem? Like, why am I so mad? And I realized I am bored and unfulfilled. And I had a job at the time and it was a good job. It was good pay. Everybody was nice. There was no stress. I enjoyed it. There was nothing to not like about it. They were flexible, like everything you could want. And I was just like, I am just bored. Like this is not it for me. And my husband had been telling me for a long time, you should be a therapist, because I was always the person that people would like want to talk to when they were struggling. And I got so mad. I'm like, I can't be a therapist. How am I going to do that? Because I didn't know what it was going to take. I just was like, I don't know. It's fuzzy and vague and I can't do it. And I don't know about it. And just no one stop like saying things like that to me. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna Google search it. I'm gonna find out like where would I go to school for that, and I looked it up, and they had it at Parkside, and I set up an appointment with like an admissions counselor or whatever. And this little snotty girl at my job, she was like, "Oh, it's gonna take 1,000 years to get your transcripts. They're probably on paper somewhere." You little shit. I got my transcripts in 2 days and I enrolled, and the rest is history. So yeah, like it felt like that couldn't happen. I can't do that. Like, how am I going to pay for it? And no, this is wrong. It can't happen. But yeah, you never know. Like, maybe there is something you could be doing that would be super fulfilling. And like you said, I feel like our whole lives we're just so focused on everybody else, taking care of families and whatever. And like now it's like, well, what do you want to do? So dream big. Yeah.
Love it. Well, you're inspiring me. You're making me want to be like,
Awesome.
that isn't the way of doing that thing.
Yeah, who knows?
So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being in the Midlife Nest Facebook group. I hope that women hear this and get some courage.
Awesome. I love it.
Thanks, Kari. I'm going to post this in the group soon. So